Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. You are live and you are on the Diana Wright Show online. And we have special guest, Pastor Gil Monrose, with us this morning. And as soon as he calls, we'll be joining him to have a nice conversation about various topics. But as we begin today, I just want to share with you a few words that I wrote down. Put the love of yourself in hot, boiling water, and it will get stronger, just like tea. So put the love of yourself, and just think of it as boiling the kettle of water, and it becomes so hot. And then it is tea that you can drink. So as you look into yourself and love yourself, which is the crusade of this show, to have everyone love themselves, teach their children to love themselves inside of the Diana Wright Show live online. And that's the reason we have created what we're calling the National I Love Me Day come April 30th. That will be the day. And we hope that you're preparing yourself before that to get to that place where you love yourself so much that nothing, no demon, no enemy, no negative talk can get to your spirit. And as I listen to one of the services that I listen to every morning on my journey to take my daughter to school and back, I listened to the preacher as he spoke about the fact that the Lord is the joy of my strength. Of course, it's your strength, but I personalize every scripture that I read. When they say, thus I say me, or I call my name. In the case of the Jabez prayer, I put my name in. So that's what I encourage you to do. But joy versus happiness. Joy is something that Jesus gives freely to you. But happiness is something you have to create for yourself. Happiness is something that you probably won't have every single day, but it's your responsibility to be happy with yourself. Your husband will not make you happy. Your wife cannot make you happy. Your children really don't make you happy because most of the times they're driving you crazy anyway. All right? Friends don't make you happy. You, my friends, have to create your own happiness every single day. It's your responsibility. And don't allow anyone to steal that joy that Jesus gave to you. Because remember, the scripture also says that weeping may endure and last for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Even though no one told us how long that night will be, and how much of a hell you might have to go through, and how the journey might be just filled with bumps and bruises. But eventually, joy cometh and comes to you in the morning. So we thank you for joining us inside the Diana Wright Show live online. And we welcome you from around the world and in the United States as we try to give you some inspiration, some courage, lots of, information that might just uplift your life. One word. It may just take just one word. It doesn't really matter. As long as we inspire you, encourage you, and give you the courage to love yourself and move on to the passion and the dreams of your life, and not allowing anyone to take hold of that dream. So that's what we'll do today inside of the show. All right. Moving again to Oscar Pistorius. As we listen to the 2-hour long teaching, schooling from the judge this morning, for him to tell us and go through the whole thing and make sure you understand how and why he's going to allow Oscar Pistorius to have bail. And after 2 long hours, we did hear the words, I will grant him bail based on all that I've said before. And even the judge had to take a coughing break Because you see, when you speak for 2 hours almost without a break, they took like a 5-minute break. You do have a coughing thing that comes on, because my husband is trying to figure out how to stop me from coughing. My coughing is attributed to the flu that I just got over. So I hope he was watching when the judge was coughing, okay, after speaking so long, because when you do talk for a long time without a break, your voice begins to crackle and your throat needs some liquid to soothe it. All right. So we'll just start from there. And of course, my question now is that, will Oscar be set free after the trial? How will South Africans react? How will the world react? And despite all the twists and turns in the case and the lead detective having his own murder issues going on, we still have one dead Reeva Steenkamp. So, where do we go from here? I guess we just have to wait until trial. And we just have to hope that Oscar being a celebrity does not affect the outcome of the trial. So as he walks today, I know some of you might be not so pleased about that. But I'm sure his family is elated. You could have heard the woo, the sound of joy in the courtroom as it was announced. So, we're hoping for the best, and all we can ask for is that justice be served in the memory of a young woman who had so much promise, was a graduate of law school, was beautiful, was on television, was a model. She had so much promise. So as we listen to the various stories that comes out of this trial, we just will have to wonder and ponder. Will she be an accident because of guns again? Or is the story being fabricated to get someone free? We'll keep watching it for you, and we'll let you know and keep you abreast of what's going on in the story. So, I have some news that I kind of like today. Because you see, the TSA, which is the Transportation Security Administration, had to apologize to a family. Yes, they had to apologize to a family because they had to pat down a 3-year-old girl who was bound to a wheelchair because she has spina bifida. Spina bifida? Yes. Spina bifida that affects you in a whole lot of ways. And getting up out of a wheelchair to be pat down by the TSA might just not be in the game. The incident started, of course, with her mother's earring that she was wearing. And her mom was wearing the earring, yes, that set off that alarm thing. Because every time I travel, you see, I wonder. These people are on their way to Disney World with their daughter, I'm sure, to give her a wonderful trip, but in Disney World or at Disney World, and, you know, planning to have a nice, pleasant vacation. I guess the mother just didn't think that she needed to strip down all her jewelry. Because I'm trying to figure out, each time I travel, I have to take my necklace off, I have to take off my earrings, I have to take off my chain, I have to take off my watch, and my shoes. Then, after all of that, you have to go through the body scanner, and the body scanner sees everything. So I have always, my hat, they have to look under my hat or tell me to take it off. And if I'm wearing a jacket, like I am right now, I have to take it off and expose all of my body that I really don't want to expose. Because that's the reason I'm wearing a jacket. Not a coat now, I said a jacket. Like the one I'm wearing. Because when I travel, I like to wear a jacket because the plane is normally not so warm once you take off. It normally gets a little cooler. So the TSA, they've just decided that you need to strip down, and I am just wondering, what do we need to wear to the airport? so that we can feel that we will not be pat down like this 3-year-old in the wheelchair. Your earrings, what can you put in those earrings? I'm not quite sure. What do I put or could put in my necklace? And what am I supposed to be putting in my watch that will create an issue? And what will be in my jacket? Oh, well, I guess they want to see what's inside my jacket. No, they don't. Yes, because if you're standing in that machine that takes a picture of your whole body, so why then do you even need that machine if they're going to pat you down? And why do you then need that expensive machine if you have to take off and disrobe at the airport? So I am so happy today to report to you that the TSA had to apologize to this family and send them on their merry way to Disney World. And this is what they said. They regret inaccurate guidance and provided to the family during screening and offer its apology. Well, do people only see things just the way they are? And they love to talk about calling out the supervisor. Oh, well, if you don't want to take your hat off, then we have to get the supervisor. So, you feel threatened and you feel nervous and then you say, okay, I'll take it off. I insisted the last time I traveled, I was not going to take my jacket off because I had on a skimpy undershirt that I just didn't feel like being exposed to everyone in the airport. And not until a female TSA agent came over and said, it's okay. She can keep her jacket on because she could see that I had just a skimpy thing on because I was coming back to Florida, which is warmer. So I didn't want to be dressed up in some sweater that I have to disrobe again when I got here. All right. So it is joyful to see that the TSA had to apologize to this family. Because I'm simply wondering, why did we buy all those expensive machines that scans your body from head to toe, and then you still have to take off your clothes almost? Well, I tested the system because I kept my wedding ring on because I was wondering, really? I got to take my wedding band off? But no, I didn't have to. And I was very happy about that. So I tested that. So ladies, you don't have to take your ring off. And for those men who wear their wedding bands, they don't have to take it off either, because I tested that. So if they do make you take it off, then I'm not quite sure what's going on. And why do I really have to take off my little earring that I wear? Because most of the times it's just a little earring. It's no big deal. Why do I have to take it off? And what are they suspecting that you'll have? When you come back from Europe, you don't even have to take your shoes off. But the explanation I get for that is that they're trying to get Americans and not trying to get Europeans. But yes, they are. It seems like they're trying to get everybody these days. So why can't we get rid of taking off the shoes too? Because most of the times the airport floor has to have some kind of germs going on it. And why am I going to subject myself to that? Just picking up something from someone else's foot? There has to be a better, more efficient, safe way for us to get through the airport. And yes, we want to be safe. But yes, I do not want to disrobe, take off all my clothes almost at the airport. And if you ever wear a pants or a jeans that has a little rhinestone on it, oh my goodness, you're in big trouble. So, here comes Pastor Gill, and we're going to welcome him to the program. Hi, good morning, Pastor Gill. How are you?
How are you?
I am good, thank you. And thank you so much for joining me. And let me just say a little bit about you before you actually speak. Pastor Gill Monrose, he's a founder of In Him Ministries. His focus and lifelong dream is to serve the church, especially young people, and I'm so happy about that. He's passionate and he's an advocate for families and children. And guess what? He's also the chaplain of New York City Transit. Yes. And when I read about him, doing the research before I got to him today, I kept saying to myself, and I did say it to him, I think, on the phone, is he going to have time to talk to me? Because he is so busy and so involved in so many wonderful things that I wondered if he was going to take the time to speak to us. So we are so appreciative of your time this morning, and we welcome you to the Diana Wright Show live online.
Thank you so much. And no, it's just busy doing that work, but I'm never too busy to speak to you.
Okay, all right, wonderful. We're so happy to hear that. So how are we going to start this morning? I just want you to tell all the viewers and listeners what and who Pastor Gill really is and who he is.
Yeah, so I'm a young boy who was born in...
A young boy? Okay, we'll take that.
Born on the island of St. Croix and grew up on St. Thomas. Moved
Okay.
to New York about 12 years ago
Mm-hmm.
to go to school for Bible and theology.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that for some years. I got married. Out of that came two wonderful children, Joshua and Jeanne.
Mm-hmm.
And then took on some local responsibilities in Brooklyn for a church, and then saw the complexity of the needs that were around us at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the church that I pastor, the area, one report said that if you would take central Brooklyn, where I pastor, out of the United States of America, we would be considered a third world country.
Wow.
And so when you look at the stats and when you look at the number of schools closing, when you look at the level of crime and gun violence that we had in our communities, so basically I had to set forth to really start working on seeing how we can bring and leverage the resources of the church and government to help in those situations. So that's what we do, and that's who I am.
Wonderful.
I'm just trying to do as much as we can.
Okay, so then it takes me to the question, what do you see as the role and importance of the church in the community?
So the church, so there's three ways that the church really functions in America, and for urban ministry, it is the church in the community, the church to the community, and then the church with the community. And so these are the only three areas that you can. So normally, a church who just open up on the weekends,
Right.
close the door, and go back home. That's one way, and for many years we have been doing church that way. Over the last several years, we've been very progressive. But out in the 1960s, when you look at the civil rights era, and when you look at how the church mobilized the country to move away from segregation, and you look at the work of not only Dr. Martin Luther King, but a lot of the pastors around the country, we see that the church called to bear the moral conscience of America. And so the church became the planning places to mobilize people to get out to vote, to get out to move to help with the situation that was going on at that time. So the church today, I see that the church today is like a Walmart. I mean, you have the soup, you have the salvation, and then you have the soap.
Okay.
So that we probably don't have all the resources, but we should have at least the resource to direct those who come into our care to the resources in our communities. And so I see that the church goes beyond just the four walls, but it also helps when it comes to situations in our community that need assistance, whether it's poverty, whether it's hunger, whether it's crime and gun violence, whether it's cruelty to animals. I think that the Bible is relevant on all of those issues.
Okay, you mentioned, Pastor Gill, you just mentioned gun violence, which is something that I wanted to discuss. And since you mentioned it, I'll just pick it up right now. Gun violence, how do you see the church even helping with this whole gun control, gun violence, and our young people are just killing each other and dying way too early?
Yeah, guns in America has been a problem for many years, especially in urban cities. And so when you look at America, in the United States, in 2011, 2010, there were 9,000, just about 8,000 people who died from guns. And if you go over to Britain, that number is close to about 60.
Wow.
So we have a big problem in America. In Brooklyn, where I serve as the president for the Clergy Council for the NYPD, for the past 30 years, we City is one of the safest, biggest city that you can find in the United States or in the world. That's what we keep hearing, which is true to some extent.
To some extent, okay. I used to live in New York, but Queens, though.
Yes, so you have a proliferation of gangs. You have a new movement of crews. Mm-hmm. They're not really gangs, but they're really loose with the gangs. And so gun violence is a major problem for us. And I am not sure that we have all the answers, but we have some ideas as to what we can do. But I think that the discussion right now with the president trying to get an assault ban passed through Congress,
right?
We don't think that will be helpful to us to some extent, because our problems that we have is handguns and not necessarily assault guns in urban cities. So we're still, deciding if that is. I mean, we support the bill, but we don't think that bill is going to help our situation in urban cities like New York and Brooklyn.
So, what about universal background checks?
Like I say, I mean, anything that will help us get a assault weapon from the hands of an individual, I will support it. I will not say that I don't support it.
Right.
My larger issue is that our problems that we have with gun violence here is not with assault weapons, it's with handguns.
Okay.
And that's a major problem for us. So those guns are purchased down south, and they're just transported in the back of cars, and they're selling the black market in New York and in urban cities. And so that's our problem. Our problem is with the handguns.
Okay, you are watching the Diana Wright Show live online. My special guest this morning on the telephone is Pastor Gil Monrose of Brooklyn, and we're talking about various topics. And I wanted to ask you, how do you think the church can play a specific role in helping with the gun violence? Is there something specific that the church can do?
Well, yes. So what I've been saying is that, churches, we have a lot of resources. We deposit billions of dollars every Monday morning in the banks across America.
Okay.
We have the most real estate in New York City, and I just want to, and for context, I have to use New York because it is where I do the bulk of my work.
Exactly.
But we have the most resources in terms of real estate. So what the church can do is take youth programs that they already have and just open it up just a little bit more to the community. Because we believe that the best way that you can have an anti-gang program, an anti-gun program, is to take what your youth ministry is already doing and just take that and put it within the context of the community.
Right.
So if your youth ministry is about dancing, then start a program that helps inner city young people who have the love to dance but don't have the opportunity to do so, pay for classes, and then your church provide that service to your community.
Right.
So if each church can take their youth ministry or take their outreach programs and really turn it into a community-based program, that in of itself will drop the crime and violence, because what you're doing is that you're giving the young people an alternative to the guns and gun violence. So if the church can turn those programs into a well-machined and oiled service to the community, I think that specifically the church is going to help on that. The second thing is that it must be from our pulpits. We have the most captive crowds on the weekends, and pastors and our prophetic voices must be raised on this issue, and so that we can always highlight the problem, and so that will help as well. And I think that the last thing that we can do is that we can start taking some of our resources and making sure that the inner city young people, that we find ways to fund programs that can really help them and sustain them.
Okay. So opportunity is always one of the things I talk about all the time, because I believe that when people get opportunities to do something, they normally do that thing as opposed to go fire a gun someplace. So that's a wonderful thing that you're doing in your church. All right. I just wanted to find out from you, Pastor Gil. I have this thing that I've been listening to on a program, and they talk about the differences between an apostolic ministry and a pastoral ministry. Now I'm seeing and hearing that a pastoral ministry is one that, takes care of needs, make you feel good, but the apostolic ministry is one that kind of is more frank to tell you you're doing this wrong and you got to do this right. And I just want to hear your thoughts as a pastor, how you differentiate with those two, because I just didn't understand it until I heard it on the radio the other day.
Yeah. So in the world of theology, there's a lot of new terms that are being thrown around.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of new philosophies that have been coming up throughout the years. But
right.
Apostolic, pastoral, to me, is all the same thing. There's different style, of course, and function.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people normally that there's a difference between, of course, a preacher and a pastor. I am a pastor first, of course, and then I do preach.
Okay.
So pastoral ministry is caring for all the needs of your congregants.
Okay.
Now, you have a lot of individuals who could be, when you get from apostolic, or they probably would be an apostle. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they don't necessarily have a church.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go to different places, they speak on, again, certain things that, again, for me as a pastor, my subjects might be different because I'm dealing with people who have been diagnosed with cancer. You deal with individuals who have problems in their marriage. And sometimes when you have individuals who just come in as a speaker, they're speaking differently because, again, they're just coming in for that one day, that 1 week on a special theme, and they're preaching forward. So pastoral ministries, which is the dearest to my heart, is taking care of the whole person, not only telling people difficult things, but also praying for those individuals and then helping them through their situations and their problems.
Okay. All right. Do you then believe that just going to church makes someone a Christian?
Well, going to church would not make you a Christian as much as you going into a McDonald's would make you a Big Mac. So you can go to a doctor's office and you can sit there all day and you will never become a doctor.
Okay. All right. I got that. Because a lot of people, in my opinion, are just churchgoers.
Right, definitely. So, listen, we need everyone in church, whether you're a Christian or not.
Okay, all right. So we want to get everyone there, right? Okay. Come on in. Okay. All right. I want to ask you a little bit about Christian dating because, there's a ChristianMingle.com website that got into a lot of trouble last year, and then it's still in the news because a woman was raped and, the case was continuing. Is this something that you believe as a pastor is a good thing for people to be trying to find love online, or is it not?
Love online. So I briefly heard about that story. And my question always is that, so a Christian dating website, is it me as a heathen looking for a Christian person, or is me as a Christian looking for a Christian person? It all depends. So you have all individuals who come on these sites, so I can't, I don't know if they're at fault or I don't know the background of the story, but it's just a tough situation. Okay. But if you have a place where good Christian people can meet and date, I say go for it.
Okay.
I think that sex in our community is not the problem per se, but lust is. I'm not advocating the fact that you should, of course, sex without marriage, but I think that the whole concept of Hollywoodizing dating and sex in our community has really hampered us to do a lot of good work. So in the 1990s, we did something in the Christian world called, abstain from marriage, ATM, the wait for sex until after marriage. And what we found was that even though the young people made a commitment to abstain from marriage, by not having sex, what they were doing with them, they was having different types of sex, like they were having oral sex and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So what we have to do is be able to educate, teach in a loving way about the concept of dating. For me personally, I told my daughter all the time, is that I don't want you to bring one boy to my house. I want to see 4 and 5 because I know that you're just dating. They're not just into a relationship with the first person that you go out with.
That's a very interesting thought that you said just now about having your daughter date more than one guy, because then you know she's not really into one guy with some deep, dark relationship going on. I've never thought of that. And I'm sure those of you who are listening and tuned in to us right now and watching us, this is the Diana Wright Show live online. Our special guest, Pastor Gil Monrose, and he is from Brooklyn. And we're talking to him on the phone. And I just thought that was a very interesting thought. Have your daughter date more than one person. Wow. Never thought of that. Is a wow moment for me.
It's the way to go. I try to instill my young people as well.
Yes.
The person that you're with right now, if you're 18, if you're 19, if you're 21, listen to me carefully. You will not marry that person.
Amen.
Over and over again. Because we were 18 before I was 19, and I said to myself, I love this person with all the things that are in my life. I love her. I'm going to love for the rest of my life.
Wow.
And it didn't work out, and it doesn't work out just so. Because we're young, our minds are maturing.
Well, I'm just happy.
Friends that I had 10 years ago is the same friends that I had today.
Wow.
But I was not growing. I'm not progressing. So that person is going to evolve and change over time. So you have to give time for yourself to mature so that you can know what you want out of life, and then it will be very different.
Okay, so how do you think you influence the young people in your church to stay away from fornication? Because I have seen in churches so many young people in one church or two churches, so many of them getting pregnant, and you're wondering, they're on the choir, they're doing this, they're busy in the church. Where are they finding time to do all these things to be pregnant?
Yeah, so I told my young people, I would tell them, okay, if you're going out, I want you to wear three things, you know. Wear jeans pants with the belt on there, then wear a skirt, and then
what kind of skirt? what kind of skirt? That's funny.
So listen, we say listen.
No. Let's repeat those three things: a belt in your pants. I love that. I love that, because I do believe that these young men who are...
You're going to get me in trouble.
No, I'm not going to get you in trouble.
I'm going to tell you what I would say. I'll tell you what I really mean. I know that you said that we're going to take just a short break, and then when you come back on the break, I'm going to tell you that, okay?
Okay, all right. So he's going to take a break, and when he comes back, wow, we will hear the rest of that conversation. That, I think, is a very interesting thought. That this pastor is making sure that he tells his young people a pants with a belt. Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful. Yeah? I think he said long skirt, but I'm going to verify that when he takes the break and come back. And we're just reminding you that you're inside of the Diana Wright Show live online. Our special guest this morning on the telephone with us is Pastor Gil Monrose of Brooklyn. His church is called In Him Ministries. And of course, he specializes and focuses, and his lifelong dream is to serve the church community, especially young people. That's the people that we need to focus on, because they are the future. All right. He's also passionate about and an advocate for families and children. And he's telling us something that I thought was quite interesting, that he allows his daughter to date. I must ask him the age of his daughter when he comes back, so we don't get confused into the dating age. And more than one guy, because he understands then that she's actually dating and not really serious about any one person. So I have some other questions to ask him about, he does believe that, if you want to date on a Christian site, go for it, but make sure the person that you're trying to date is indeed a Christian and not a fake. You remember I talked about fake bags and fake jewelry and fake diamonds, and you will find fake people online, and you will find them right there in church too. Fake people. Trying to be who they're not and who they think they are, and trying to make sure they get the love of the pastor. And if they figure that you're getting too close to the pastor, they will chop your legs off. I guarantee you. I'm serious. In church, there is so much jealousy and envy and jostling to get to the pastor's love that creates so many problems in churches. Not just one church, Okay, you're back with us. All right. Okay, Pastor Gill, I wanted to ask you, how old is your daughter?
Jen is 9.
Okay. All right. And then I wanted to go back to the three things. I really, really love the one about the young men wearing their pants with a belt. And did you say long skirt for the girls?
No. What I was saying to you is that I always joke with my young people, the girls, I said, listen, if you're going out on a date, you have to have layers of clothes, like layers of clothing. So in addition to your skirt, you wear short jeans and you put a belt on there, and you put a lock on there.
Okay.
And you leave it at home. So you know for sure that it's layers of protection.
Amen.
But in saying that, in joking, it helps them understand that you have to make sure that you are so solid in what you want, that you will not get sidetracked when you go on a date with a young man.
Okay, layers of clothing, young ladies. That is a very, very, very good thought. I had never thought of it, but I am writing it down. I'm serious.
Oh, right.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move a little bit a little deeper into the church thing before I want to talk to you a little bit about immigration. Is it that pastors believe or think they are special because they're pride-filled or they're not showing enough humility and that kind of thing? Because it seems like a lot of pastors get into trouble because they believe at some point that they're bigger than God, if you will. How do you process or explain that to your congregation, if you will?
Right. So there are different pastors, and I think one of the things that I always try to warn against is that in my pastoralship, we're just regular individuals who some of us have a call, some of us are honest, and we try to live our calling.
Yes.
Not all pastors in America make more than $35,000 a year.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, our job is one of the most thankless jobs that you would have.
Wow.
Most congregations in America is under 50. And
under
what
50.
you see on television is only a 1% of pastoral work. Or you have those pastors who are in those mega churches. So I tend to tell people who don't have direct communication with church when they look on television, that is not the case. It's like looking on television and seeing that every woman that you see, every man that you see on the red carpet is just as successful, has clothes, and have all that stuff put together. No, it is not so.
Okay.
Every day in America, we have pastors who are leaving the jobs as a pastor full time and going back into the secular world. We have churches who are closing.
Wow.
So pastors is a difficult job. Now, mind you, now there is a segment of pastors who, of course, have the jets, have the cars, have the budget, $4 or $5 million, have the books,
and the mega churches, the mega churches.
I can't relate to that because that is not where I'm being called to. It is not where my ministry is, and I'm not trying to aspire to that because that is not where God has me.
Okay.
So the church, you would find that, like this weekend, today I'm going out to a retreat of pastors to New Jersey, and we are all struggling to continue to maintain our ministry. We are successful in what we do, yes, but we're not millionaires yet, and we don't have ministries that mimics what you see on television. We do the real work in the community, on the ground.
Okay. Okay. So you have no aspiration to be a mega church then?
No, I don't. Because, because if you look in our communities right now, where we are placed, if you look at Central Brooklyn, if you look at what we have to do within our communities and the needs that we have, even if a church goes to 1,000 people,
right,
It is good. In America, a bigger church, I think, starts about 1,500 members.
Yes.
Once you start to get that big, I'm all for branching off, starting with smaller churches in other places, and then when you get to a certain size, branch off and start another church in another place.
Yeah.
So that's my model for ministry.
Okay. So if I'm coming to your church, then I'm coming and you will always be my pastor. I'm not going to be funneled down the road to another church because I live closer to that church. So you will always be my pastor if I'm coming to your church.
Oh, you had break up just a little bit.
Okay, no, I wanted to find out if I'm coming to your church, will you always be my pastor? Because I noticed that some of these churches, if they're too big, then they funnel off and you get a new pastor, and you might not necessarily gel or like the way that pastor presents their message. So coming to your church as coming to Pastor Gil Monrose's church in Brooklyn, you're always going to be my pastor.
Well, listen, I don't have the church that I want to pastor. I have the church that God gave me to pastor.
Okay.
And so I don't have a perfect church. But my job is to try to make the church perfect in terms of making everyone live to the full potential of being a good, honest, and spiritual person.
All right.
That's my function.
Okay.
If God ready to give me a promotion and move me to someplace else, I will leave that church and we will move on to something else.
Okay.
And another church that we need to function on.
All right.
So I don't take ownership or claim solely for one location that I'm in.
Right.
Whenever God ready to move you in an assignment, you're ready to take on the next assignment.
Okay. All right. Let's move a little bit to immigration, because I know in Brooklyn, wherever you might be, there's always issues with, people coming to Brooklyn and just never leave and that kind of thing, because it's an easier place to, be an illegal immigrant, if you want to use the words of the Republicans. So, how?
No, I don't want to use it. Yeah, we don't want to use their words. Yes, there have individuals who are undocumented.
Yes, undocumented.
There's 11 million of undocumented individuals across the whole United States of America. This country is made of immigrants. I don't know if you know, but a lot of people who are very proud of the Italian heritage, and you have the Italian restaurants.
Yes.
You have a lot of folks who are proud of the French heritage. You have a lot of individuals who are very proud of the Irish heritage.
Right.
We have the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York. And we believe that those individuals who came here came as immigrants as well. Their forefathers came as immigrants. And so this country afforded them the opportunity to be proud of their heritage.
Right.
And so now that you're in, we are saying that the moral conscience is that you don't close the door then on the others who believe that this country is a place that they want to be able to come to raise their family. And they believe that this is the best opportunity for them. So now that they're here, most individuals who are here have been here from the year of 3 years old, of no fault of their own.
Right.
You don't punish that person who have went through the school system, graduated, get on to college. By the time they get to college, found out that, okay, I'm not an American citizen. To allow those individuals to linger in a state of despair.
Right.
So what we are seeing is that the right thing to do, the moral thing to do, and what we have been doing is allowing these individuals who are here undocumented, who have overstayed on their visa, to have a pathway to citizenship.
Yes.
And that is what we're advocating for.
Okay, so that's the way you would like to see the immigration argument go.
Yeah, and that's the way that it is. There is no other way that it is, because again, if you have individuals again who are from, listen, the only people who are from this mainland was the native Indian.
Exactly, and I think we need to remind the Republicans of that, though. I think the Republicans kind of forget that in their arguments.
I think that it definitely, but they're remembering now because, as you can see, is that you can't depend on just the white male vote anymore. You have to take the women in consideration now, and also you have to take the minorities in consideration. You have the Caribbeans, the Africans, you have the Latinos, so you have to take all of those things into consideration now.
Okay, I wanted to ask you a question about a prayer cloth or robes that I see being, given to for sale on television. Do you believe that when we pray, we actually need to be in a special garment or have a prayer cloth over our shoulder? Is that a necessity in your mind as a pastor?
No, it's not. But it's very it's not a tricky question. It's not a tricky situation. But anything that I tell people something. Anything that brings you closer to God is good for you. Anything.
Okay. So
one of the things that I don't like is the fact that when you make this a multimedia scheme or a get-rich scheme on the backs of spirituality.
Yes.
That is my problem.
Okay. All right. So
because if you want to wear a talit, if you want to wear a prayer shawl to pray, which is definitely, when you look in the Old Testament, you can make a case for it. But it's not being sold to the highest bidder.
Right.
It's not being sold at the level of a particular offering. It's not being shoved down your throat so that it's a new phenomenon.
Right.
It's not. So those things I'm very wary because of the motive behind them, and I just think that it is tasteless.
Okay.
For us to make someone believe in good faith that they need something like that to offer a word of prayer to God. Prayer is not about posture. It is not about clothing. Prayer is about you communicating to God. And even in moments that you don't have enough time to bend or to close your eyes, a prayer is you acknowledging and you even saying one or two words, and that is a prayer. Sometimes a prayer, or whatever you can call out to the name of Jesus in a short time, that is considering that you're talking to God in a way that you're sincerely knowing and lovingly understand that He is the Creator, and knowing and sincerely understand that He can help you, and you are sincerely appealing to Him. That is what prayer is about.
Okay. I thank you so much for joining us. But before you go, I know you have to run. Just let's talk about faith for a moment, because I do believe that a lot of people, they go and they ask for prayer from the preacher, from the pastor, from the bishop, whatever. But then I am not sure if they themselves have enough faith or believe in what they're asking for to receive. So as a pastor, how are we supposed to see or know what faith really is?
Well, I think that also too, you can look at it in a few different ways. One of my mentors, one of pastor who had triple bypass surgery,
wow,
told me that he was in a hospital and some brothers came from the church. He just came out of the operation. And they said to him, Pastor, we are going to pray, but we need you to have faith. He was telling me, he was sitting there and saying, how could I have faith? I'm just coming out of operation. I came off operation. They actually opened my heart and did a quadruple bypass surgery. And you're asking me to have faith? I'm so weak and so tired, I can't have faith. So at that point in time, it's not about whether or not he has faith. It's that if you have faith, because you're not always in a position to have faith in some trying times. You need people to be praying for you sometimes. Why? Because sometimes you can't pray for yourself.
Okay. Wow.
So there is something that I call divine intervention and divine healing. It's to say that out beyond my control,
yes,
beyond your control, God decides to divinely heal you.
Wow. Wow.
So, and there are sometimes that people have situations and they would come to you for prayer, but you need for them to have faith to believe that what you're going to pray for is going to happen.
Okay.
And that's different. But then we need to have them put their feet now to their faith. So if I'm going to pray for you for a situation,
right,
you have to believe that you're going to do what you need to do to get out of the situation, and God is going to help you. Then I'm going to pray for God to give you the strength to overcome your situation. And there's some people who come to me for prayer, and I would say, don't waste my time. I'm not praying for you.
Wow.
Because you're so much in a situation that you can't get out. I want you to get out, and then I'm going to pray for you. So it's different things to different people at different times.
Well, that's a wonderful way to end. And before you go, could you just say a little prayer here before you go then?
Sure.
All right.
Listen, I want to thank you so much for putting up that I was supposed to be on yesterday. I'm on this morning. I appreciate the fact of what you are doing and the service that you render to our community. And so my prayer for you today is that God is going to favor you. He's going to bless you. That his face is going to shine upon you and give you peace. And that whatever doors that are open up unto you, that you will definitely walk through, and that it will be a blessing to you and your ministry. And to everyone who is listening, when you pray to God for something, you must believe first that you can see yourself overcoming the situation that you are in. And then with God, all things are possible if we only believe.
Okay.
So this is my prayer to you and to the listeners today.
All right. And I thank you so much for that. And believe me, I believe everything you just said. And I have faith that it will come to pass. So I hope you can join us another time on the show when you have some time in your busy schedule.
Anytime for you.
And thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too. All right. That was a wonderful conversation with Pastor Gil Monrose from Brooklyn, and his church is simply called, yes, and he actually started that church himself. So we applaud him for that. And, we are just happy to know that he spent some time with us this morning. His schedule is very tight, so we appreciate him. And he's the founder of In Him Ministries in Brooklyn. In Him Ministries in Brooklyn. And all you need to do is put in Pastor Gil and the Monrose comes up and you get all the information about the pastor. So we thank him so much for joining us this morning inside the Diana Wright Show live online. And of course, we welcome you from around the world and in the United States again. We didn't get to go to all the questions that we had for Pastor Monrose, but we got through quite a bit of them because, you know me, I always have tons of things to ask and talk about. All right. We just want to continue before we end the program in politics. And it's now obvious, totally obvious to me, that the Republicans are bent and determined to risk this great nation only because they did not win the White House in 2012. They spent the past 4 years trying to block the president. Senator McConnell pledged that he really was not going to do any work. All of his work was going to be to block the president and make sure he's a one-term guy, a one-term president. Some way, somehow, we were not fooled. And we understood what Mr. Senator McConnell and his buddies in Congress. He's on the Senate side, Boehner's on the Congress side, and so is Cantor. Yeah. And that was his plan. So he didn't do any work. His only work was blocking and stopping and making sure that the president got nothing done. And it seems to me that they believe they're going to do it again. But this time, I don't think we need to stand for it. Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't stand for it because we went out in droves and we voted. Because that's our power, you see. But the other power we do have is to take up that phone that you have and call Washington, D.C. Senator Boehner's office, Congressman Boehner, Speaker Boehner, he is the head of Congress. He is the speaker. Why can't he control the Tea Partiers in his caucus, we ask? Why? And Mitch McConnell, he's not talking a lot these days. Yeah, he speaks when, Yeah, the vice president went over and, kind of cajoled him to prevent us from going over that cliff. And we are at another edge of our seat again with the sequester. But I believe that this time, the Republicans, it will backfire in their faces because Americans are not stupid. And the president has the support of the American people. And don't forget, the president does not have the power to pass legislation. He is not Congress. Speaker Boehner and his people possess that power. And as they pass whatever they pass and pass it on to the Senate. So let us not lose sight that the president can only tell us what he would like for us to have, or the gifts that he would like to give us, as Mitt Romney said, which I haven't gotten my gift yet. I'm still waiting for my gift, which I don't think I'll ever receive. And I don't think you will receive any either. Because whatever we get, whether it's Medicare for the elderly or Social Security for the elderly, they've actually earned that, you see, because they actually paid into Medicare when they worked and paid into Social Security. Yes, you have some people who are getting SSI who never really worked, but they came back from where they went and they worked private duties and they didn't pay into the system. And now they're part of the system. And as a man who was so angry, who are thinking that immigrants are coming here and taking away all the benefits, as he said to Senator McCain in the town hall meeting, remember, how does he know that those people are not paying into the system? Because there are indeed people who are here in America illegally, but they do pay taxes. Yes, they do. And even if they don't pay into Medicare and Social Security, when they go to the store to buy food or clothing, they are paying taxes. And most of them, a lot of them, do pay their income tax and file their tax return. Because that, you see, they know in their minds that if and when the immigration thing is processed and they are allowed to get a green card or residency, they will need to show all those documents. So let us not think and believe that all immigrants are dumb people. And as Pastor Gill just pointed out, the only people originally here are the Indians. Remember those people? Who basically have their own government right now. They do. They don't have to go by the rules that we go by. They have their own government within the United States of America. So when the Republicans keep reminding us and keep showing that they don't like immigrants, if you trace every one of their backgrounds, including Mitch McConnell, Eric Cantor, Speaker Boehner, Paul Ryan, I am positive that you don't have to look very far because they will find some immigrant blood somewhere, someplace in their heritage. So as they continue to bash immigrants and call them illegal aliens and all kind of names, as Pastor Gill just pointed out, undocumented immigrants sounds so much nicer, doesn't it? So, as we close the program today, and we thank you so much for joining us, we ask you to let your voices be heard by calling the numbers of your congressman, your congresswoman, your senator, and most of them, they're on holiday right now. And how do they get so many days off, weeks off, that we don't get as regular people? And they hate the government. They want smaller government, so most of them need to give up their jobs as congresspeople, as senators, because if you want smaller government, maybe we should start shrinking you first. And then maybe we should start cutting your pay first. And maybe we should take away from you that wonderful insurance you have for your medical coverage and your pensions. Let's start there. Because we are always seeing the mote in someone else's eye before we look internally within our own hearts. So I am asking all the Republicans who hate government so much and want a smaller government, just exit the scene and we will have some less people to pay by the government. Because remember, you are working for the government that you hate so much. And you want to be so much smaller. So if you exit the scene, we will indeed start there by having a smaller government. And it might seem so infantile to break it down to that, but that's the way I feel about it today. And that's what my hope is. And my prayer is that lots of the Republicans who are complaining about the size of government and cutting and spending and deficits and sequester and wanting to ruin the economy, that is definitely not the way to go, the way to think. So we hope and pray that you, as citizens of this great nation, will take up your phones and let your voices be heard in Washington, D.C. And don't worry that they're on vacation, because their staff is still there slaving while they enjoy the golf course or wherever they choose to go. Some of them go to the DR, the Dominican Republic, yeah, the Bahamas, and other places. So we don't begrudge them for their vacation, but as long as you're willing to take time off, you really need to do some work. How much work has Congress really done since President Obama is in power, in office? Most of their work seemed to me to be obstruction and no, and saying no to everything and trying to destroy him and make up lies and rumors. So I plead with you, my fellow citizens of the United States of America, please go out. Do something. Use your phone, and that is your bully pulpit. The president has the presidency. Boehner has the press that he can call upon to speak anytime he wishes. But you, my friends, you have your telephone and your voice. Let it be heard and let them know how you feel and what you want. Whether it's a $9 minimum wage, or moving immigration forward, or gun control, or get rid of the sequester, because they do have time to do it by March 1st. Because it only takes a few minutes to do it. Don't let them deceive you and let you think that, oh, this is a whole lot of work they have to do. What do you think they do? Sit down and write each bill each time? No, they don't. They have form letters, form bills in their computer. A click of a button could change things. Let them know that we're not dumb, we're not stupid, and they need to fix it. And stop playing with our money in the market, or our homes that are underwater, or whatever your problem or your troubles are. Let them stop. In the name of the only one that can set us free, Jesus. So on that note, I say thank you so much for joining me live on the Diana Wright Show online. Remember, if you'd like me to speak at your gathering, at your church, at your occasion, because I'm giving it all the names possible, we invite you to give us a call at 561-228-1921. That's 561-228-1921. And before I go, I just want to remind you about a fundraiser being done by a church. And it's a fundraising concert. That's this evening at 7 at the Grace Fellowship Church. And the address is 8350 Okeechobee Boulevard, and that's in West Palm Beach. That's a Grace Fellowship Church, and I am sure you are familiar with where that is. Thanks once again for joining me today, and we say au revoir, bonsoir, adios, yeah, and ciao to those of you who speak Italian, and welcome you once again to the show, and hope you join us again and again and again. And Pastor Gill's prayer for us to walk through that open door when it comes, when God provides it. We will be walking through that door, and I will be walking through that door with you to make our community stronger and better, and for you to have a voice. So I encourage you to get out of the blue and come into the green today. And once again, thanks for joining me, and have a great day.